Hey guys, it's Jennifer with Roots Redefined. Get your passport ready because today we are taking you through the main entrance and showcase plaza at EPCOT's 2021 International Flower and Garden Festival. As you enter EPCOT through the main entrance, you are greeted by a few whimsical character topiaries from the movie Fantasia. First up are the mushrooms, which are literally right before you officially enter the park. They are easily missed, so make sure you look out for them. The mushrooms are in a bed of pink flowers surrounded by lily turf. I love how large sunflower seeds are used for their eyes. As you move further in, we have the rest of the group. Here you'll find Sorcerer and Mickey with the Brooms, Hippo and Gator, and the Ostriches. There is a similar theme here. All of the topiaries are in planting beds that have been sectioned off into 3 different areas. Each area within the bed has its own color scheme and respective flowers. In the first section in front of the topiaries, we have different shades of dainty purple violas. In the middle, where the topiaries are positioned, we have a mix of warm yellow and orange daisies, Helliot tickseed, and golden pot marigolds. And behind the topiaries, we have an assortment of flowers, including the striking blue delphiniums, purple edging lobelia, pink globe amaranth, and a few white snapdragons. The beautiful edging lobelia is perfect for a flower box or to fill in gaps in flower beds. The plant is native to South Africa and was first cultivated in the 1600s. It's become a popular choice for gardens around the world, resulting in hundreds of hybrids. The slow-growing bellflower shines in a fascinating deep blue, purple, or white bloom. The magnificent blossoms open tirelessly the whole summer long and fill in some corners which would otherwise stay bare. Having an African origin, the lobelia loves a warm and extremely sunny habitat. Without enough light, it will shrivel and won't form many of the gorgeous blossoms. However, as long as you give it enough light, it doesn't ask for much more. Now, as we know, Disney spends countless amounts of time and effort into designing each and every bed for the flower and garden, so I think it's only fair that we discuss the interesting use of color here. You might notice that your eye follows the yellow and orange daisies to the topiaries, de-emphasizing surrounding walkways and buildings. This is probably intentional. Warm colors, reds, oranges, and yellows, catch your attention. They are lively and energetic. These colors appear to come forward in the landscape and seem closer than they really are. They make big spaces feel smaller. Use them to draw the eye towards features you want people to notice or away from eyesores. Cool colors, violets, blues, and greens, appear to recede in the landscape. They seem farther away than they really are and can make small spaces feel bigger. If the flowers in your planting bed at home are mostly warm colors and you want to soften their intensity, consider adding some cool color blooms and foliage to provide contrast. Here, the fiercely hot orange and yellow blooms are cooled by the purples and blues of surrounding violas and delphiniums. So now we're heading to the Showcase Plaza, which is the entrance to the World Showcase. So essentially, it's right behind the big ball. So at the Showcase Plaza, we have a few garden destinations and character topiaries. We're going to start this trip with the Bee-stro garden. Honeybees feed the world. Hardworking honeybees are responsible for pollinating 1/3 of the global food supply, including fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Not to mention meat and dairy, which depend on bees to pollinate livestock feed crops like alfalfa. Many of the ingredients that contribute to a balanced diet wouldn't be possible without honeybees. A bee will visit an average of 75 flowers every time it leaves the hive. And you might be surprised to learn that an average worker bee makes only about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its lifetime. With all they do to help plants, honeybees are definitely our friends. Here are some easy ways to lend a hand to these pollinating pals. Try creating your own bee-friendly habitat at home using native flowers. Pollinators are best adapted to local native plants, which often need less water than ornamentals. Bees love native wildflowers, flowering herbs, berries, and many flowering fruits and vegetables. Lavender, sunflowers, and poppies are just a few beautiful examples of plants bees will love. And here's a tip. Bees find blue, purple, and yellow flowers most appealing. Flat or shallow blossoms, such as asters, daisies, and Queen Anne's lace, will attract the largest variety of bees. And long-tongued bumblebees are attracted to flowers with hidden nectar spurs, such as larkspur and snapdragons. They collect sweet nectar from the flowers and bring it back to their hives, where they rapidly fan their wings, causing evaporation, which transforms liquid into honey. You can also help bees by making a bee bath, giving these guys a place to get a drink. Place marbles and rocks into a shallow dish and add fresh water. And pulling weeds by hand gardening without chemicals protects pollinators. Better yet, let the dandelions grow. Bees love them. And now let's discuss the flowers you might find at the Honey Bee-stro garden. In this garden, we have bright beds full of orange and yellow canna lilies, tick seed, blanket flowers, yellow daisies, and celosia. Cannas are a favorite in the garden, and although they are called canna lilies, these perennials are unrelated to true lilies. They are lovely in the garden because of their bold accent. Their tropical appearance makes a spectacular show in any flower garden. Canna lilies grow 3 to 5 feet high and look beautiful displayed in group plantings, which offer a dramatic effect. The colors of the flowers are usually vibrant shades of red, yellow, or orange. The broad, flat leaves are typically green, purple, or variegated. They grow out of the stem in a long, narrow roll and then unfurl. Although gardeners enjoy these interesting flowers, nature really intended them to attract pollinators such as bees, hummingbirds, and bats, so that they could collect the nectar and pollen. In this garden, you'll also find red snapdragons, blue plumbago, purple salvia, and a gorgeous mix of white, yellow, and orange violas. Salvias, also known as sage, are mainstays of the midsummer garden border, blooming summer to autumn. Part of the mint family, salvias appear as colorful spikes of densely packed flowers with tubular blossoms atop square stems and velvety leaves. They grow 18 inches to 5 feet tall depending on the variety. Planted in the spring, these aromatic beauties are great for cutting and beloved by bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. Fortunately, salvia does not tend to attract deer or rabbits. It is the distinctive, pungent odor of their leaves that acts as a repellent to garden pests. And as a bonus, salvia is heat and drought tolerant. And now let's check out the floating gardens and festival blooms, which are both highlighted as garden destinations in the festival passport. More than 140 floating gardens dot the surface of the 2 lakes bordering the walkway between Future World and the World Showcase, nourishing themselves with absorbent fabrics that extend below the water's surface. You can also find some colorful floating gardens near Imagination and the Land Pavilion in Future World West. Although the floating gardens have become signature displays of this annual event, these marvels of hydroponic farming have been in existence for centuries. The Aztecs were among the earliest to incorporate what they called chinampas into their landscapes. Built in swampy land surrounding what is now Mexico City, chinampas were floating rafts made of reeds and weeds filled with nutrient-rich soil from the bottom of lakes. In an area where farmable land was at a premium, these floating islands enabled the Aztecs to produce food, flowers, and even trees on top of wetlands. First observed in the 11th century, chinampas are still part of the Mexican landscape today. But Mexico wasn't the only part of the world where floating gardens appeared. Marco Polo observed them during his travels through ancient China. And in 17th century Europe, scientists plunged into the development of hydroponic techniques. Although floating gardens are far from mainstream today, they do provide practical and ornamental applications for both the home garden and commercial agriculture. They have particularly become famous in areas with heavier and longer rainy seasons. The unique build and design of floating gardens make them an ideal substitute for lands which get flooded even before crops can be harvested. Other than being an edible or showy ornamental island, a floating garden is also a habitat for frogs, turtles, and fish. When the roots have really developed, it also becomes a means for additional water filtration, aeration, and increasing the water's clarity. The water garden cleans by filtering the toxins and pollutants out of the water and putting oxygen back into it. It also provides benefits for air pollution and climate change mitigation. Now you can recreate this at home on a smaller scale. These floating containers are available online or in shops. You can also make one yourself if you are up for a DIY project. Homemade floating pond planters or mini islands are a lovely way to add vegetables or seasonal pops of colorful flowers to your garden pond. There are loads of DIY floating pond tutorials out there. My favorite one uses a pool noodle as a flotation device. There's a little bit more to it than this, but essentially you wrap the noodle around a black plastic pot using waterproof tape. Black landscape fabric is used to wrap the noodle so that it blends in with the pot. Edibles such as lettuce, Swiss chard, and basil do well in floating gardens, as do flowers such as zinnias and sunflowers. If using plants of varying height, type, and color, place taller plants in the middle and shorter ones along the rim. After planting, give the garden a good soaking before setting it afloat in the water. Wetting it down is like giving it a jump start. Islands can float freely, or you may choose to anchor to the pond's bottom to limit movement. And just as a heads up, some plants have a certain level of toxicity if consumed by humans or animals, including fish. Before adding any plants to your pond, be sure they won't be harmful to any aquatic wildlife. And of course, we can't overlook the festival blooms. Disney does it again with the great skills at mass color, not to mention the use of reflecting water. On both sides of the Future World lakes, we have loads of beautiful flowers, including red and purple sun patience. We also have pink sun patience with very dark green leaves that boast a deep reddish purple underside. A lime green foliage plant is used throughout as well. Sun patience are a more vigorous variety of impatiens, a popular choice in the garden for decades. This colorful plant can pack a real punch, with intensely colored blooms and attractive variegated foliage. Sun patience perform in full sun or shade, high heat, and other difficult weather, keeping your garden or patio beautiful almost year-round. Like all impatiens, they need water and fertilizer, but no other special care. Some patient plants continue to grow and flower where others don't, establishing quicker, with stronger roots and more vigorous growth. And now let's make our way over to the Showcase Plaza character topiaries. First up is Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and Goofy. This one makes for a great photo op. I love how they are holding colorful paint cans. Minnie is looking quite fashionable in her dress of red sun patience. The front of this planting bed is full of purple sun patience. The center of the bed, where Mickey and Minnie are standing, is loaded with bright yellow violas. Mixed in are some red and yellow daisies, celosia, and pink flowers. A little further back, next to Goofy, we have pink Sweet William and yellow snapdragons. Behind Goofy, you'll find giant pink daisies and terracotta pots full of sweet potato vine. I love how the sweet potato vine hangs over the pots for added interest. Sweet William, an old-fashioned favorite from Europe, is a short-lived perennial that produces clusters of fragrant flowers in shades of white, pink, purple, red, and violet. Its flowers are reminiscent of Victorian cottage gardens. It's grown continually by gardeners who cherish sturdy, reliable, and beautifully unique flowers. Sweet William is suitable for beds and borders, cut flowers, and the fragrant garden. Its flowers attract butterflies and bees and is also deer-resistant. The petals are also edible and make lovely garnishes. The next character topiaries we're going to visit are Pluto and Chippendale. Pluto and the chipmunks are so cute. Pluto is holding measuring tape in his mouth, and he has a collar of yellow sunflowers around his neck. The planting bed is sunny and playful. Gorgeous yellow snapdragons blanket the floor. A few red daisies and purple salvia are mixed in. An old-fashioned cottage garden flower, the sun-loving snapdragon produces small clusters of flowers on a tall, sturdy stalk. The bell-shaped flowers may be singles, double blossoms, azalea-shaped, or have open faces. Bright snapdragon flowers bloom profusely throughout cool weather in intensely saturated colors, almost every hue, and are real standouts in either the spring or fall garden. The flowers start blooming at the bottom of the stalk and work their way up, making for a long period of bloom. Although snapdragons tend to slow down and stop blooming in the heat of midsummer, if you keep them watered, they will perk up and carry your garden through the fall. Snapdragons also attract pollinators, especially long-throated bumblebees, which can navigate the deep flowers to reach the nectar. Our last character topiary stop is Donald and Daisy Duck, with their 3 ducklings, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Donald has a bee on his forehead, which I think is super adorable, and Daisy's blouse is made from pink sun patience. They look like they are ready to do some spring gardening, holding rakes, shovels, and other similar tools. Donald and his family are in a bed of yellow bush daisies with red celosia that has bronze leaves. Behind them towards the back of the bed, we have a few Sweet William, Nicky flowering tobacco, and blue edging lobelia. You can add a little sunshine to your garden with the bush daisy. This prolific bloomer produces a mass of golden daisy-like flowers all summer long. Bush daisy also has elegant, bright green, finely cut foliage that looks great even when the plant is not in top bloom. It's a tender tropical shrub that shines in large planters or in a flower bed. The plant can grow up to 3 feet tall, creating a brilliant tower of color. And bees and butterflies love bush daisy too. Like other tropical plants, the bush daisy likes hot, sunny weather and prefers well-drained soil. They are moderately drought tolerant, but should be kept watered during dry times for maximum flowering. It's hardy from zones 8 through 11, and in the north, bush daisy is best treated as an annual. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out my flower and garden video on the World Showplace. Here they give us a behind-the-scenes look into how floating gardens, character topiaries, and other fun displays are created. So that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. This is Jennifer with Roots Redefined. I'll see you again real soon.